watching this webinar from Xolo, Spain. It would be great to just quickly connect with you before we get stuck in. So please tell us where you're watching from, where you're tuning in from if you're watching us live, and a special hello if you're watching the recording as well, because all of this will be available for you afterwards too. And we look forward to finding out where everybody's checking in from and what's going on. So, okay, let's start to see who's coming in as we're live on. We should be on the Xolo website and also on LinkedIn. So do say hi if you're waving from LinkedIn as well. It's always good to hear from you. So we've got people starting to join us. That's excellent. And we're looking forward to covering a really important subject today for anybody in Spain who might be self-employed or might be considering that direction in future. This is Spain. There are lots of very specific things that you need to know, but don't worry because Xolo has you covered. It's my really great pleasure to introduce, and I'll be handing over to the people who are the experts here who are going to be covering everything that you need to know in order to do this. So here we go. We have with us Cristina Gomez Torrens and Sade Iyaramende, who are from Xolo. Cristina is an international accountant. Sade is a customer success specialist. So between them, they've got you onboarded and then everything looked after going forward. They're going to tell us all about how Xolo supports freelancers in Spain. So that's those of us who are autonomous status. Now, before I hand over to these experts, I want to remind you that this broadcast will be available to watch back on the Xolo website and also on the Xolo LinkedIn page. So that's going to be useful to everybody, but this is public content we are creating. So while we will encourage you to ask questions, I would just like to remind you that those questions are public. So please don't put your whole tax history, your life history, any personal information. We strongly recommend you book an individual consultation with Xolo Spain to address those things. However, we do want to take your questions. We do want to address as many of your concerns as possible because this is complicated and we want to make sure that this information is useful for everybody. So if we don't get to all the questions, don't worry, because again, we'll be leaving contact details for Xolo. You will actually have access to a very special deal that's not available anywhere else than in this website. You could actually save money on your service from Xolo Spain for a whole quarter, because that's how we think autonomous, right? We think in quarters. That's how we measure our lives out. And right now, I'm going to hand over to Cristina and Sade to take it away with how Xolo can help you, what you need to do about your taxes, that Beckham's Law we keep hearing about, and the little insider tips that you need to know after you've been doing this for a while. So ladies, all yours.
Thank you, Maya, and welcome everybody. Thanks for joining. I'm sure that you have a lot of questions, but hopefully we are going to solve some of them in this webinar. So first, I just want to say that Xolo, what we want is for you to enjoy your independence, right? So forget about what you've heard so far about being a freelancer in Spain and just sit and enjoy and discover the solutions that Xolo can offer. So how can we help? It is pretty simple. Xolo combines a team of expert accountants and digital business management tools so you can feel safe and supported while being an autonomous. So what we do is to register you if you are not yet in the entities that you need to be registered in. So tax agency as well as the social security. We also have the expert guidance of our accountants on optimizing your freelancer income and minimizing your tax liabilities, as well as the tax filing for the quarterly reports and annual reports that you need to do as an autonomous. Okay, so in Xolo, what we want is for you to streamline your business. And I want you to imagine a world where invoicing is effortless, where you boost your efficiency because you can do that in our platform while creating invoice in a professional manner, as well as optimize your expenses because our platform automatically reviews and manage the deductible expenses that you have, so you can focus on what matters and spend less time in administration your business and more time on growing it. All right. And what we want is for you to have your taxes as crystal clear as you can. So you will have in the dashboard that every client has a real-time tax estimate with all the information that you've uploaded in a platform, so you can see what you do have to pay at the end of the quarter. Okay, because we handle that part. So in Xolo, what we want is that it's an all-in-one business, so you can minimize your tax headaches. You'll get an accountant only for you. So these lovely people, such as Christina, will guide you through the process. And also, you have all the resources that we've created for you, such as the FAQs, our guides, the blogs that we have as well, and you can get one-on-one consultations with the customer success team as well as the accountants once you are a client, right? So you can experience the sort of difference today. Christina, tell us how we can do that.
So, yeah, thank you, Shade. Thank you very much, Maya, also. I am Christina, the International Tax Advisor in Xolo, and I have prepared this webinar considering the main questions our clients have for it to be as clarifying as possible. So I will be here explaining you what are taxes, how do we deal with them, etc. So, as I have said, first clarification. Taxes are managed by the tax office. There's also Social Security, which is an administration where you pay a monthly fee, but it covers different contingencies such as pensions, healthcare topics, so it's a different thing. As a tax resident in Spain who is a freelancer, there's two main taxes involved. There's IRPF, which is the income tax, and there's VAT. For IRPF, there's the annual obligation. That is that as a tax resident in Spain, you should fill out the annual renta where the worldwide income and personal situation is considered. Okay. Additionally, if you develop an economic activity, you can have this additional obligation to be filled quarterly that will depend on the activity you are performing and the type of clients you have. The obligation means that you have to advance the 20% of your benefit to the tax office. But hey, clarification, this 20% does not mean that it's your final fixed rate. This is just an advance payment on taxes that will be considered in the annual return. You can also find yourself with a withholding tax on your sales invoices that can be 7% for the first 2-3 years and then 15% for the rest. That does not mean either that this is your final tax rate. You will just find yourself within this situation if you develop a professional activity and your client is another freelancer company located in Spain. Then we have VAT, which is called IVA in Spanish. And in your sales invoices, depending on the type of client and where is it located, you will find yourself having to include 21% VAT or not having to include any VAT if, for example, your customer is located in the US, or having to declare it as an intra-community operation. As in the same VAT return, you will consider also the deductible VAT that will be deductible according the provision that the law states. As an example, gasoline, the law just allowed to deduct 50% in general activities. So this is basically it. And depending on the characteristics of your activity, you will have an obligation or multiple of them, but in general, we will be the ones assessing and dealing with all the quarterly returns, so you don't have to worry about anything. What do you need to do? First of all, keep your account updated. What we need is you to check the banners in the platform and the emails we send with all the deadlines we include. And our recommendation is to keep a monthly accountancy. Why? Because this way, as Shad has explained, you can check periodically the reports forecast and make sure you have enough funds for when the quarterly reports appear and have to be paid. You can pay them without any issues or request us, for example, to pay installments. This way, you will avoid penalties with the tax agency. That is, of course, our aim. So let's get deeper in one of the most interesting scenarios all expats are currently checking, which is Beckham law and digital nomad. In 2022, was published the law that it's also known as startups law. Okay, it's common in Spain that a law that regulates something new modifies aspects from older laws that were enforced to adapt them into these new regulations. So basically, in a unique court, different laws can be affected. In this specific law, several different aspects were regulated, such as, for example, migratory visa for investors in startups, special regime for companies who meet the criteria to be innovative and were startups, meaning companies, regulation of digital nomad visa for teleworkers, and modification on the personal income tax law, adapting the Beckham law regime to certain new scenarios where freelancers were included. Okay, so basically, differences between digital nomad visa and Beckham law. While digital nomad visa is a migratory status that allows you to live legally within the Spanish territory, Beckham law is a tax status, is a special regime that you can obtain if you meet the criteria once you have acquired your tax residency in Spain. So here's the difference. One allow you to live legally in Spain, and the other it's a special regime for paying taxes. Okay, let's go deep into the key facts of this regime. So basically, what is it? It's a beneficial tax treatment for individuals who have not been tax resident in Spain during the past 5 years. So reminder on the criteria. At least 5 years of not have been a tax resident in Spain before the year you come here to Spain. Why is it beneficial? Well, basically because instead of paying taxes on worldwide income, you will be paying taxes just on certain income according to the non-resident provisions, that it's basically a flat fee of 24% up to 600,000 and 47 from them. Something you could ask, is it always beneficial, Beckham law? No. I wouldn't dare to set up a specific level of income, but in general, let's say that it's beneficial when you plan to have a benefit between 50K, 60K per year. Because if it's less than this amount, then considering the personal situation, it may be more convenient for you to pay taxes as a regular tax resident. When can someone apply? You can apply within the 6 first months after having your registration in Social Security, while also always observing and verifying the year becoming the tax resident, because it will be the first tax year considering that you got your Beckham regime granted. How long can this regime be used? So basically, the law here states that it's 5 years plus the year of change of residency. So in practice, let's say that it's 6 years, but the law is 5 plus 1. How can this regime be applied? Well, it's an easy request by the tax office, but what it's not easy is to be sure that you are meeting the criteria and to gather all the documents and complete the proper request and send all the documents to the tax office. This leads me to the main question now. So who can apply for it? Beckham law has been in force for some time now. And in general, after the modification that it suffered with the startups law that I have explained before, currently the person who can apply to Beckham law are posted employees with an employment relationship that are posted here in Spain. There's this new situation where remote workers are also allowed to request Beckham law. But hey, what the law states is that they have to prove that there's an employment relationship with the employee. So in general, if someone wants to apply Beckham law due to an employment relationship, they will not be able to develop a freelance activity in Spain. So, as a conclusion here, a remote worker should not be a freelance if they want to apply to Beckham law. Second scenario, managers moving to Spain to become directors of a Spanish company. Fine, in principle, it's not our main topic. Then the third one, freelancers. What kind of freelancers can apply to Beckham law? Okay, Those who have an ENISA report, you would be asking, what's ENISA? ENISA is an administration that accredits the innovative character of your economic activity developed in Spain. So basically, if for the type of activity you are developing, you can obtain this certificate. You will just need to send out or collect, let's say, all documents and provide all the explanations to ENISA, and they, after gathering all this information, will accredit that your activity is innovative or if it's not innovative. Other two scenarios where freelance can be considered under Beckham law is when you have a high qualified visa and you serve basically to Spanish company, or if you have a visa for training, research, development, and innovation activities, and mainly your core business is located in Spain. So here I wanted to share with you some experiences that we have had with the tax authorities to enlighten you with what we have been facing. So the first scenario is requesting Beckham law as teleworkers. Let's remind that teleworkers should accredit an employment relationship, but being a freelancer. So here in this scenario, we've got an acceptance first. So this person had the regime granted, but after 1-2 months, they received an exclusion letter saying, "Hey, you are actually developing an economic activity in Spain. So this is not compatible with the Beckham law according the request you have done. So you cannot be anymore in Beckham law." This is a bad scenario, but at least you know that you are paying taxes according the correct situation you have. Second scenario is the same one as what I have already explained. Requesting Beckham law as teleworker, but being a freelancer. Regime granted, but no exclusion letter after all. But we know, or you know, that you're not meeting the criteria. Worst case scenario here is that after 2-3 years, tax agency sends you a letter and says, "Hey, but you are a freelancer. You are developing an economic activity. So before this situation, you have not been correctly included in Beckham law. So even if you had a certificate granting the regime, you have to now pay taxes as a regular tax regime or a regular tax payer. So, you would need to redo all the returns that were done by Beckham law into the regular regime. Worst case scenario. Third situation, requesting Beckham law as freelancer with an ENISA report. We have got them all granted, no problems at all. In conclusion, our recommendation, just apply for Beckham law if you know that you meet the criteria to avoid any issues, contingencies, any problems with the tax office. This is the recommendation from the tax advisor, and I will hand her back the micro to Shale.
It's okay. So, well, basically, if you still don't know if you are, you can just contact us and we can just check this for you and tell you, yes, you are or not, maybe not. But to do that, all you need to do is to register with us. So you can join Xolo anytime you want. Here are the plans that we have, the 4 main plans that Xolo have to all our clients, and it's for everybody. So what to explain and going a little bit of details, the light plan is for those of you that don't want to handle the admin of your business to an accountant, but want to do and want to use the invoice and expense management tools that we have online. So you can do that with our light plan. But if, on the other hand, you want to have our accountants to help you with all the tax fillings, then this plan is for you. The starter is for all those freelancers that want to use the tools and also want to have their tax returns filled by our expert accountants. The global, it's a little bit the same, but the difference and main difference here is that the global also is for those freelancers that have clients around the world, like multiple countries, not only in Spain. That is the case of the starter. And it includes the VAT number registration as well in the global plan. So this is our most popular one at the moment. But also, if you are interested in the Beckham law that Christina already explained, then the premium one would be the best option for you because this is more personalized, it's for more picky people, and it has all the added services that we offer, such as the annual tax return fill-in, as well as all the Beckham law regime reports to be done here, as well as the video calls with your accountant. All right, so if you have any questions, you get 1 hour per month to get them and to talk with them. Just, you know, clearing out some doubts or if you need something more personalized, right? And as a former freelancer, I'm going to give you a few insider tips because I know this sometimes it's a bit confusing. And the first thing that I need to tell you is just trust our accountants. This is like the most important thing, but also just try to learn a little bit about the general things that you need to do as an autonomo so you don't, skip things that must to be done. So for the social security inside tips, you can see it here, but and if you don't know yet, the fee is deductible. All you need to do is to upload as an expense the bank slot that you will get, right? Also, for the tax agency or Hacienda, um, they don't really care how many bank accounts you have. All they need to understand is how much you are getting for doing this activity as a freelancer. Okay, so you can have banks in all the accounts in all the banks that Spain has, and all we need to have is the invoice, so we can report that, and Hacienda can check if this is okay, right? And remember, now that we're talking about bank accounts, that not all banks are accepted for Social Security and the tax agency. They are a bit picky with N26 or Revolut, these online bankings. But if you have more questions, you can just let us know and we can tell you which banks they work better with. All right, we don't have any partnership. It's just that we want you to have the best experience as an autonomous. Okay, and remember to always have funds in your bank, the one that you use for the entities to collect this money, because if not, owing these entities, it's not a good news. So if you don't know that already, please just, if they don't charge the money, it's a bad news. Okay, but that's what the accountants are for. And now we have the questions and answers section. But before that, just remember that because you are here, we are offering some extra to you. We have a 20% discount for all the people that are here in the webinar. You can have a 20% discount, but for the first 3 months, um, and you need to register before December, or well, the 31st of December. That means 2024. If you register and you attended, all you need to do is to use the link that Maya already published in the screen, or you can log in through the QR that you are seeing. All right. So, questions?
Well, this is time to drop your questions, everybody, into the comment threads. We have these two experts at our disposal now, so let's make the most of them. We have a question from Davina. I will put that on the screen now.
Okay, so if you are developing your economic activity in Spain and you have your main clients located in the US and these clients are companies, if you receive an expense with 21% and this expense is in a document which is an invoice and it contains all tax data to be deducted, you will have your quarterly return including 0% of output VAT, so 0% VAT in your sales invoices, but instead you would get this 21% as quota for deductible VAT. This will mean that after the end of the year, so in Q4, you will be able to request a refund of this VAT, this deductible VAT. This is a correct scenario because even though you are billing to the US and you are not subject to VAT for this type of operations, you are still subject to VAT.
None of us can escape the VAT.
Yeah.
And here's an interesting question for every freelancer. Let's see what we think about this.
I can handle
Yeah,
that.
Shadi.
So basically, we have a dashboard, we have a tables, we have a lot of information that you can access in the platform, and you can see there. Basically, it's just a transaction where you will see the invoices that you have generated on that quarter and the expenses that you have uploaded. With this information, we get the magic of how much you need to pay at the end of the quarter. Okay, so it's basically this information: how much are you invoicing and how much are your expenses, and the taxes are included in each, so we can get the number. Okay, but it's pretty uh, graphic. You can see it in the dashboard.
If in doubt, save a little bit more than you think you might have to pay out. You might get a lovely surprise when you do your annual return. You may even get money back if if they've retained more than that 20%. Sometimes the tax office pays you, so it's always better to go that way around than struggling to pay it. But it is an important question, and it's good to ask your accountant how much of your typical income you need to be stashing, so you don't get bad surprises.
Okay, yeah, we'll let you know anyway.
Benefits for autonomous.
Short-term disability, I guess, if you are from Barcelona, this may be incapacidad temporal, which is where if you fall out like sick for something that is not too bad, you can request. You can be in baja. You can request sick pension, let's say, from the Social Security. However, the main situation here, the main problem here has been that when you are in this kind of, or receiving this kind of pensions, or in this kind of situations, you don't earn the 100% of your base of cotization. So you are earning basically 50-60%. So it's commonly known that autonomous cannot be sick, basically because as they were used to pay the lower amount, they end up, if they were sick, like earning something around 400, 500 euros per month. This was not sustainable, of course, for anyone. But if, depending on the type of registry you've done, if you have select the cese por actividad, which is the unemployment fee, you will be able to be eligible to the unemployment benefit. So for short-term disability, you are covered. For unemployment, you will need to check out the specific, let's say, check out the specific box and pay an extra fee. But the main situation you can find is that to receive the unemployment pension is that you have to meet certain criteria that are really rigid. So basically, like I would say 60-70% of autonomous who pay this unemployment rate, let's say, don't or end up without receiving this unemployment pension, which is paro in Spanish.
Yeah, just don't be sick if you're autonomous. Seems to be the rule, but that's the rule for self-employed people all over the world. I think this is what we gain in the flexibility. We give up a lot of that security, but saving and running your business wisely with the support of your accountant is probably your best insurance against that. Okay, we have a question about expenses. I'm just going to take that slide off because Sade is disappearing behind that. We want to see you.
Sure.
But I put the link into the comment thread, by the way, to get that discounted. So I'll put the QR code back up in a bit.
So here, before this situation, I mean, there is a huge, let's say, confusion in regards of reimbursed expenses and these kind of expenses. So basically, if you need to travel because your client requires so, this is part of your service. So basically, if you earn, let's say, 500 euros for your service and you spend an additional 1,000 euros in traveling, you will need to consider that your tax base is 5,000 plus 1,000. That's it. If the invoice is paid in one currency or the other, uh, I mean, as you would need to include it as part of your tax base, it would not matter too much because I mean, of course, if you have a exchange rate between the total cost of your expense and what you have received in your sales invoice, still the thing that you have received in your sales invoice will be earned in your bank account. So imagine that instead of billing a fixed 5,000 euros, you would be billing 5,003 euros due to this exchange rate between GBP and so between
Euros.
pounds and euros. That
Always
is
tricky
basically.
with currencies.
And I
Yeah.
want to tell the everybody, because I see there are a lot of questions related to expenses, that we have a category in our FAQs that are called "What can I expense as an autonomous?" So we have categories, and everything is so detailed. You can just go there and check if this works for you. But yeah.
Yeah, we've got a lot of questions coming in now, and they're kind of a little bit all over the place. We're going to get through as many as we can, but if not, I will be extracting all of these questions from the log and sending them to Sarah so they can follow up with you individually.
And if not,
Quick
you can
customer
just
service
reply. You can just send us an email and log in the QR so we can just handle that. Oh, do you have any packages, please? We do not, but you can just take advantage of this discount that we have, and so 20% discount if you are registering until December 31st. So I think that is a really good deal. But yeah, we handle it monthly.
Yeah, we've got some questions about expenses. I think this one you more or less covered, but is it worth commenting briefly on how it can vary in the different autonomous communities?
Various stuff can be deducted from the tax base. In general, I'm not sure if we are mixing here annual renta with economic activity. So, in principle, income tax is a tax that is dealt by the Spanish tax office, but there's partially there's some part of the competence that it's transferred, let's say, to the regions. In regards of economic activity, the laws are the same for the laws for expenses are almost all the same. Okay, I'm not sure what you're referring here, but
as an autonomous.
yeah, but just I'm just like thinking of the situation where some lawyer had upload the suit as an expense, and it was accepted from a regional court. So this expense was not at first accepted first by the tax office, and the lawyer appealed to that, and after that, this expense was accepted, let's say, by a court. This is a really weird situation. So in general, there's no difference between regions on the type of expenses that can be a credit. Another thing is that if in renta, in the annual tax return, depending on the region you live, you can use certain deductions or certain other. For example, in Valencia, you can deduct the gym fees, and this is not possible in Catalonia. And so this is something that changes depending on you are living. Another thing that you may be referring is the zero fee for the autonomous fee. So, for example, in Madrid, Andalusia, Valencia, there's some regions that have regulated a grant that allows you to pay zero, let's say, in the first year of being an autonomous. But it's not pay zero. You will need to pay to the Social Security, and then they will refund you the whole amount paid. But this refund will need to pay taxes in your annual tax return. I hope I have put some light in your question
Maybe,
because I was not sure.
yeah, I can add as a former freelancer that if you're not sure, just upload it, and the accountants are going to tell you yes, or it is accepted or not. It is not accepted.
If in doubt, put it in.
Yeah.
Right. We have another expenses question. I'm jumping around a bit here, but I know this was always been a problem getting a suitable factor.
I have used just this same example in the IRPF when I was explaining the IRPF and the deductions for VAT. So in general, depending on the type of activity you are developing, you will be able to deduct fuel or not deduct fuel at all, or deduct certain part of fuel. So for example, the only activities that allow you to deduct 100% of the cost of fuel and 100% of VAT of fuel is transportees, taxi drivers, and I would say commercials, but the commercials that are registered in the Commerce Chamber of Commerce, like specific ones. In general, the rest of the autonomous, the only thing that they can deduct is 50% of VAT. But here we have some situations because fuel payments, the VAT should be the one you have in Spain because you cannot deduct, for example, VAT from France. So you should always request for an invoice when you go to a fuel station and request the invoice and then upload it to the platform. Something that you can face is that before a tax inspection for VAT, the tax office requests you to accredit why do you need your car, when have you needed in that regard, and like to accredit how this expense is related to your economic activity. So if we are thinking about a developer who's working from their home, who has the home office affected because they say, or it's said, or it's informed before the tax office that it's a remote worker, a freelance working from home, then to start uploading fuel tickets if the main client is in the US, for example, it won't make sense for the tax agency unless you are able to explain, hey, I needed that because this guy had this project here and I had this meeting with this lunch and these expenses have generated these other income. This is what the tax office wants.
Be ready to explain every receipt, every factura. Be ready to go back 10 years if you have to. I hope it never happens to you.
Important, it's invoices that you need.
Okay,
receipts mainly now.
Proper factura. So anything else that can be deducted, obviously the social security payment, but we then would be referring to the list of allowable expenses that you have for autonomous.
Yeah. So in Beckham law, what we state that it's deductible. So, as you're paying taxes under the non-resident tax, we have to consider that the autonomous position is a permanent establishment in the country. So as a permanent establishment in the country, the non-residence law states that you can deduct all the expenses related to let's say, getting income to your economic activities. So in general, professional activities, professional expenses related to your activity, we accept them as deductible. The social security fee, we accept it as deductible. But for example, we won't accept it as deductible the home office supply, for example. Why? Because this is something regulated in the IRPF, in the income tax, like the regular income tax law. We don't accept either, for example, health insurance, because this is also regulated in the income tax law. So as we need to pay taxes under the non-residence law, we cannot use the provisions that are stated in the regular tax residency law.
Right. This is why Beckham law isn't best for everybody, right? You need to look at your income and outgoings, and some people will pay less than 24% as a regular autonomo, particularly in the first year. So it's not a sort of straightforward. It's been badly misreported in the world media, particularly in association with the digital nomad visa. I still get people coming to me saying, when do I get my digital nomad visa? No, it doesn't. It's not like it's completely separate anyway. So very complicated, but talk to Xolo.
We had a case where we had this developer who was earning something around 60, 70K benefit. So it's income less expenses, so benefit. But still, it was not good for him because he had like 4 kids and he was living in, I don't know, I can't remember what region. So it was even better to not apply back-end law for him. And even though he was like surpassing this deadline we have mentioned before, that's why we always encourage you to do some calculations first before deciding.
Of course,
and you help people with those calculations.
And to do that, you can just email us to this email and as well. So, or you can just scan the QR or log into the link or everything that we have, so you can remember you have this discount, but also you have all the resources there. The FAQs are public, so you can get a lot of information there for the expenses, mainly that we know that this is a really, really common preoccupation, let's say, something that we have in our minds all the time. And of course, it is important for you to do. We have that in our FAQs under expenses category. How can I deduct and what can I deduct for my autonomous activity?
Okay, so this is the use case you mentioned, that if somebody's got a big family, the fact that their dependientes can be covered by their single autonomous payment. That's what's always made it great value for me and my family. And I think this is one good use case for that.
In regards of this question, the fact of being or having, let's say, a legal residency in Spain allows you to be covered by healthcare in Spain. It's a legal social right we have here in this country. However, something that I guess this question is more related to how can I register my wife and son in the health system to obtain the car. So basically, once you are an autonomo and once you have your legal permit here, you will register your wife and kid as beneficiaries for you in the Social Security webpage. And once you have that, you will take these documents to the healthcare
the Centro Salud or whatever.
But it's known differently in the countries of Spain. So like in Catalonia or in Barcelona, we would say CAP, but it's Centro Salud, and you have to go there and like request there the car, and after some time you will receive at your place the car for you and your family. And actually, this card allows you to use not just urgencies, but to have assigned a doctor to treat any disease or any situation you may encounter, or
and anything that you have pre-existing as well, which you might not be able to get covered with a private insurance. Once you're in the system with the Social Security, they will cover you, and the screening, vaccinations, everything, and even you can even apply for the European-wide card that covers you. You have access to emergency treatment right across the EU. So just as a result of one person in the family paying their autonomo. So I think it's pretty good value.
Can IT consultants with remote work apply as an autonomous? Of course. That is like almost all
use
time.
Case. There's like your typical Xolo client.
Yes,
I suppose
if you're not just
really if it's more than one client.
The only thing I would add here is that depending on the country of origin of this remote employee, he would need to have this legal permit to be a freelance in Spain. But if with remote work you mean digital nomad visa holder, then you're fine.
Okay, going back to Beckham, because we have to always go back to Beckham's law, but I think there's somebody who's been here since 22, maybe not.
Hi, Nico. Unfortunately, I have explained if you are if you are a tax resident, I'm not sure about 2022, but if you have been a Xolo customer since 2022, I guess that at least in 2023 you have been a tax resident. So for now, like now, you are not meeting the first criteria that was not have been a tax resident in Spain for the last or prior 5 years of requesting. Um, this would be your first your well, if we would request the Beckham law now, I guess you're registering social securities from 2022, so the 6 months were expired. Additionally, in 2022, remote workers, so sorry, freelancers could not have um, Beckham law, and of course, then you have been a tax resident. I'm not sure, as I said, in 2022, but in 2023, so you wouldn't meet the criteria to be under Beckham law, unfortunately.
Okay. We talked a bit about what we get for our autonomous payment, but let's talk about what we have to pay, because this is obviously something that is changing, and it changes depending on how long you're doing it as well.
Shada, do you want to explain?
Well, yeah, actually, and we also have a guide that explains this a little bit. But remember that the contributions when you are starting an autonomo, it's a benefit that you have. That it's a flat rate. That is why it's currently actually it's like 86 now, right? Like Christina, so it's
Yeah.
And this is a flat rate. It's like a benefit. So actually, the amount that you should pay it's something around 300 or something. But the flat rate for the first year, it's for 86 right now. In some cases, this can be extended. In some cases, if you're living in certain communities, this can be zero, like Christina was saying, that it's the quota zero. But everything needs to be checked to understand that. But it is correct. The flat rate, it's a benefit for new autonomous that haven't been autonomous for the past 3 years. And then after the year has passed, then you will pay the normal amount. And it is based on a table. And a table, it has a lot of tiers. So you can check that in our guide. You can see it in our platform that it says how much do I need to pay for Social Security. And there you can guess or you can calculate a little bit how much you need to pay for the monthly fees for Social Security. But yeah, this is kind of
And there is a chance, if I think on very low incomes, to get a second year on the discounted rate, or is that just certain areas? Yeah, so you need to apply for that.
Yeah, there are a lot of conditions here. Also for women, there are also like benefits, so we can check this case by case because there are a lot of benefits on that as well.
You need to claim everything you can get, but that's why we have accountants. Okay, so it's a tax residency question.
Yeah, receive an autonomo. Okay. I guess you mean, Demi, that you will become an autonomo in November, December. So you will be. What I guess is that you will be a non-tax resident in Spain during 2024 because what you mentioned here, what I understand from what you mentioned, is that you would have not spent more than 183 days in Spain to be considered a tax resident here in Spain. Our recommendation here is to liquidate taxes via Modelo 210 and to advance or to pay the fee of 24% as non-resident, not Beckham law, but non-resident. Why? Because as you would have a country of tax residency somewhere else, because of course, something that I wanted to point out, to be considered non-tax resident in Spain, something that we will always recommend is to have a tax certificate setting the country where you are a tax resident. Why? Because it's very possible that the tax office never requests you anything, but it's also possible that at some point they just want to like check what is this person, who is her, what is Demi, what. So before this scenario, you have to be prepared, and the best shot to be prepared is to be in possession of a tax certificate of any of the country you are actually a tax resident. In this country of tax residence, you would need to include the income you have built here in Spain, and then you will be able to deduct the 24% of taxes paid in in Spain as non-resident. And I understand that you mean that if you keep being in Spain for the whole 2025, you will get, yes, your tax residency during 2025, and that will mean that you will become a tax resident in 2025, and you will pay taxes as a regular tax resident.
Okay, Demi's obviously getting set up here. So there's another follow-on question, which is also covering another important area, buying stuff to start your autonomous work.
Yeah. So basically, when we talk about laptops or mobile phones, we assume, accountants assume, because it's let's say stated in the law, that these assets will be used long term. So long term means that for more than 1 year. When some expense is used for more than 1 year, instead of being considered an expense, is considered a fixed asset. A fixed asset means that instead of being 100% deductible at the date you have purchased it, it have to depreciate according some tables that are stated in the law. In general, for laptops or mobile phones, is 26% per year. And to that, for example, if you purchase a laptop the 31st of December, of course, you will have to consider 26%, but just for 1 day over 365. So the deduction for the first year will be really low. But in the second year, you will be just able to deduct the full 26% amount. In some scenarios, we have some customers, for example, who are developers or like IT specialists, that they purchase, for example, 2 or 3 PlayStations or like kind of devices, and their work is to like experiment with them. In that situation, as this asset won't be used for more than 1 year, and it's just like a methodic, let's say, way of working, because they need to see what the competence has there, this can be then considered as an expense. But in general, when we see a laptop or something, a device that its value is above 300 euros, we depreciate the amount.
And anybody who's not a developer and tries to put 5 PlayStations through on their expenses, you can expect an audit.
YouTubers.
Yeah. Okay. Another expenses question I thought was quite interesting. Co-working.
Yeah, sure. I mean, there should be certain coherence here, but of course, you can deduct expenses for co-working, but then you won't be able to deduct expenses for home office supplies, because I mean, or either you work in co-working or you work in your home. If you want to like be greedy and deduct it all, then
it's going to look bad.
Could be.
Yeah. But a co-working should give you a non-factor as well, that there will be a registered business in Spain. So
Alexa is saying that PlayStation is an obligatory device for all IT specialists.
Yeah, definitely. Same for webcasters. We sometimes need that to have a few moments on the gaming as well, just to decompress and everything else. It's important. Okay, let's get back to reality then. We don't always get paid into a Spanish bank account. How does this work?
Yeah, so this is some insider tip Shade has said. I'm not sure if you want to develop this, Shade, or...
Yeah, you can be paid anywhere, anywhere around the world. But the invoice is what we take into account to do the reports as well. And we know that, the tax agency knows that as well, so it is kind of that. But yeah, you can have multiple accounts, multiple bank accounts for you to collect the payments from your clients. We just need to understand the amount that you're going to get there, and that is stated in the invoice as well.
So,
To add here,
and just remember.
Sorry, Maya, go ahead.
I was just going to say, be careful though, if you're a remote worker, you still have to comply if you're a Spanish tax resident with things like your Modelo 720. If you have suspicious amounts sitting in another account, they might well be interested in that at some point. So, by all means, use another account just to keep your autonomous stuff separate. That's really good, just for your personal accounting. But it doesn't mean that Spain has no curiosity about anything else going on in your name. And these places do talk to each other. Just to say, put that on the table.
The last thing, I wanted to ask is that before a tax inspection, you may ask, or you could be asked to provide the receipt on how you have earned this money. So basically, what you would need to do if you earn this income from a U.S. bank account, just to prove that you have received it and to prove that you are the owner. This is really linked to anti-money laundering stuff and etc. But in general, the main concern is what Maya have said. Check out your other obligations as a Spanish tax resident, because Spain knows a lot.
But Spain wants to know about it. I mean, again, that's another advantage if you do manage to get the Beckham regime, is that you don't have to declare everything else you've got. But again, it's only if you've really got wealth like Beckham or Shakira, somebody. Then
yeah,
don't be Shakira. There's another immigration question, changing visas. And I'm aware we've only got a couple more minutes, guys, so any urgent questions, please get them in. We'll get to as many as we can.
I'm not 100% sure what you mean
it's a non-lucrative visa.
Okay, then no. So if it's a non-lucrative visa, okay. Now on 5 year larga residencia, can I register? So unfortunately, something that happens is that without seeing the visa itself, we are not really able to assess. So maybe you can just send out this question to us with your visa, and this way we will be able to check what kind of visa it is. But in general, if it's a visa that allows you to work por cuenta ajena and por cuenta propia, which will be under an employment relationship and under freelance position in Spain, you should not have any problem. But if it's under lucrative visa, you would not be allowed. But let's
I think you would need to change.
Continue to this person.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. This is not like a real deduction. This is something that it's a credit in the annual tax return, and it does not go as you said, because it's really hard to explain to you within 2 minutes how the taxation works in Spain. But let's say that the possibility, so the fact of having familiar charges allows you to pay less in taxes, but it's not as it may be understood as, okay, if I can deduct 5,000 euros and my wife can deduct 5,000 euros, and we just submit a joint return, it's not that we are declaring 10,000 euros less. There have to be certain calculations. There's a difficult way of calculating this. But yes, there's deduction for that, but it's not how you think it is. I mean, it's not a direct reduction to your tax base.
Yeah, we get this a lot with people coming from the UK, where it's really clear and you just bang in the numbers and you have allowances, and it's just not like that in Spain.
It's way more everything
complicated. But that's Spain, guys, so we get used to it. We got time for one more very quick question. Again, this is kind of an immigration rather than a tax question, but let's
TNB. So DNB should be
the digital nomad visa.
Oh,
okay.
So it's
declare an employment relationship. So a digital nomad visa in a regular, I mean, this is a migratory also question.
It's really...
So under a digital nomad visa, depending on the type of visa you have requested, if it's linked to a teleworker employment relationship, or if it's to become a freelance, this answer will depend. But in general, the like regardless the type of visa you have in Spain, if you are a tax resident in Spain, you will need to declare worldwide income. Meaning, if you are developing a freelance position here, you will need to declare this income and the income you have related to the employment contract you have in any other part of the world, let's say.
Yeah, and Spain will be interested in your whole income. Now, I'm aware we've gone a full hour. You say we're going to spend a whole hour talking about tax. People would think you're crazy, but it's so important and interesting. We've had such great questions coming in. I did have some questions in my email that we just haven't had a chance to get to, but I think we've covered most of the ones in the chat, or at least we've covered a question similar to the things that were coming up. But I would just like to say to people that if you found this interesting, if you found this valuable, we might be coming to the end of this hour that we scheduled to keep together, but this can be just the beginning of your conversation with Xolo. Use this link, use the QR code on the screen. I'm sure there will be, excuse me, I haven't even been talking that much. I'm sure that these lovely ladies and their colleagues will be very happy to answer individual questions for you, because we are starting to get into quite individual situations in some cases here. And if you use this link to go in, then you're going to get that 20% discount on the whole of your first quarter. And that's a really meaningful thing to apply. Whichever of those plans you take out, you will get that discount on it, and it covers you for the whole quarter, and that will cover all transitioning your business, your autonomous setup, and everything else that you do with Xolo for that quarter. So I think it's a really great offer. And you have access to a whole team of experts, and they cover the immigration side as well as taxation. So I think you've got a flavour today for what it would be like to work with Sade, Stina, and their colleagues. So I hope that some of you will take advantage of this great offer. It's been really great having you all with us. We've had people are starting to drop off the call now because I know we're getting into the evening. I want to wish everybody well, especially my fellow Valencia community residents. It's been strange times for us, but as autonomous and independents, we'll keep going. We'll keep trading. We'll keep looking after each other. Come join us in the remote work Spain community. Go to the Xolo communities and say how you can get support from these online communities. We're all there for you. And thank you very much for being part of this event with Xolo Spain today. Have a lovely evening.
Thank you so much.
Bye.